When I decided to start making amp captures for 3 different modeling platforms, I didn't think about how much plugging and unplugging and replugging and reconfiguring there'd be. There's got to be an easier way to do all this. Hi, I'm Steve. Welcome to my studio. Over the last several weeks, I've jumped pretty much headfirst into the world of amplifier profiling or capturing or modeling. The terminology changes depending upon which platform you're using, but basically I'm making digital recreations of the various amps in my studio guitar rig. I'm about to begin capturing my Marshall Jubilee reissue, and I thought it might be fun to do a little behind-the-scenes walkthrough of my capturing process. I'm going to be showing quite a few pieces of gear in this video, so whenever possible, I'll make sure to leave links down in the description so you can check it all out yourself. These are my Sweetwater affiliate links, so if you purchase something using these links, I'll get a small commission, and that helps me to keep this channel going. Thanks. So far, I've released captures of 2 amps, the Mesa Boogie Badlander and the Mark 7. These are available along with t-shirts, hats, hoodies, and some other stuff right below this video and at theguitarnerd.com. Check it out. Thanks. So I figured out pretty quickly that making captures for 3 different platforms is going to involve a lot of plugging, unplugging, replugging, and that can get really tedious really quick. So in typical Guitar Nerd fashion, I've put together what I call my modeling station, which greatly simplifies the process and speeds up my workflow. I thought it might be fun to walk you through it. I started with this cheap shelf from Amazon. I think it was like $27. It works great for what I need, so I grabbed it. Okay, so here I've got the Kemper. This is the Mark II Profiler. I made a video about this a few weeks ago. The link will be in the description. The next shelf is the Quad Cortex and my Creative Devices G16 Pro laptop that I'm using for making Tonex models. With its NVIDIA RTX 4060 GPU, it chews right through the Tonex training process. It's made a huge difference for me. There's also a video on this, link in the description. For now, I'm sticking with these 3 platforms because they seem to have the most users, and I really want to get these out there. In the future, I hope to also add captures for Neural Amp Modeler. Now, down on this shelf is where it all comes together. Since I went with the PC for Tonex, I needed a way to get sounds into and out of it. Mark of the Unicorn's long been known for their great sounding conversion, quality drivers, and robust hardware. So I went with the MOTU M4 as my interface for the Creative laptop for Tonex. Okay, now here's where it gets pretty convoluted, so stick with me. To make this work as I'd envisioned, I needed some splitters and switches. Now, there are a bunch of companies out there making this kind of thing, but not all of them are real good. Many of them, while they'll switch like they say, they come with a nice unhealthy dose of, you guessed it, tone suck. Now, I don't want to compromise on sound quality, so I decided to go with a company called Lehle, or Lehle. I'm not real sure how to pronounce it, but they're a company out of Germany who have built a fantastic reputation for top quality splitters and switches. On the left, this blue box is the 1 at 3. My guitar plugs into this box where it's split into 3, 1 each for the Kemper, Quad Cortex, and Tonex, depending on which switch I hit. Switch 1 goes to the Kemper, 2 to the Quad Cortex, and 3 to the Tonex rig. Okay, you with me so far? So next, each device sends out a signal that goes to the amps, which it uses to read and model them. Those 3 signals, 1 from each device, goes to this green box, the 3 at 1, so I can select which signal is being sent to the amps. Again, number 1 for the Kemper, 2 for the Quad Cortex, and 3 for the Tonex. This box in the back is the Tonex Capture reamp box. So far, in concept, it's pretty complex, but in use, it's dead simple. If I want to make a Kemper profile, I just make sure both switchers are on button 1, 2 for the Quad Cortex, and 3 for Tonex. Whenever connecting multiple devices like this, you always run the risk of a ground loop, which results in a horrible sounding hum in your audio. These 2 orange boxes here, also from Lehle, are called the P-Iso. Each one is an isolation transformer, which effectively isolates the ground of each device. So the signal goes from whichever device I've selected out to the amp I'm capturing. I've got 4 speaker cabinets out in my live room with different speaker types. Each cabinet is mic'd up with a Shure SM57 a Sennheiser MD421, an SE Electronics VR1 ribbon microphone, and a Vintage 67 from JZ Microphones. These run back into my control room and into my system through my Universal Audio Apollo interfaces. Now, I don't use any EQ, outboard or otherwise, on my guitar mics. With this combination of speakers and microphones, I just don't need them. If something doesn't sound right, I just move a mic, switch speakers, or change the mic blend. Different players and engineers have their personal preferences of microphone preamps. Some like Neve, some like API, some like SSL. For this reason, I've chosen not to add any preamp coloration to my Tone Shop captures. This way, you're getting as close to the pure sound of the amps, speakers, and mics as I can get them. And if you want to add some of your preferred preamp flavor, have at it. But this way, you're not stuck with what might not be your first choice. In Console, which is the control software for the Apollos, I've got the mics all blended to where they sound best, with different blends saved for each amp. That's where the remote control aspect of my rig video from a few weeks ago comes in. From Console, I've got 3 sends set up. Each one feeds the mics to one of the devices to create the models, profiles, captures, whatever. Okay, now so I can hear everything, I've got all 3 devices wired straight into my Audient EVO Sp8 mic pre, which is connected via ADAT to my Apollos, which run to my Mac via Thunderbolt. So back in Console, I have channels mapped to each device so I can control the levels that I'm hearing and match them up as I need. Again, in theory, it's pretty complex, but in use, it's really simple. Let's take a look. I always start with Tonex since its training takes the longest of the 3. To keep it simple, I always move from right to left. So 3 for Tonex, then button 2 for the quad Cortex, and finally button 1 for the Kemper. Now, part of the process with the Kemper is a step called Refine, where they encourage you to play just some random stuff while the Kemper compares its capture with the real amp and makes some final adjustments. This can get pretty tedious, so to make it a little less so, I've connected this little ditto looper, and I've recorded just some guitar slop into it that works pretty well for the refine step. Next, I'll play the profile, compare it with the real amp, and maybe refine it with some crunch riffs if it needs it. By this time, the quad Cortex capture is usually about done. I can switch between them here on my control surface, so I do that to compare. Hopefully they're pretty close. And from there, I'll name them, store them, and move on. You might have seen another green box on the floor beneath the shelves. This is for when I'm making direct profiles, captures, models, etc. I've got to be able to check those to see how they sound, so I have a line run from each device to this switcher, which is another 3-at-1 from Lehle, whatever it is. This takes whichever signal I've selected and sends it to this Marshall 9200 power amp and into this Mesa rectifier 212 loaded with Celestion Vintage 30s, so I can test how the direct profiles sound through a real amp and speaker cab. So there you go. I'll admit, it's completely nerdy, but my modeling station is super functional. Without this setup, shooting captures would take a lot longer than it already does, so it's already paid for itself in time savings. So what's in your modeling setup? Let me know down below in the comments, and as always, please like and subscribe. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.